Oof. Okay, here we go. We are going to finish this day strong here in Gran Canaria. My name is Brian Christian Jenkins. I am the creator of the Elite Man 360 program and the Stellar You experience. And today, right now, in this very moment, I want to dive into the second pillar, the second fundamental mindset of what it means to be an elite man. Now, before we get into that, if you remember, what we're talking about as we talk about being an elite man and having an elite man mindset, this is not being elite or the best in comparison to anybody else. This is you being the best, the elite version of you. So every other version that came before you, that's who you're in competition with. And so the idea is that we put our attention on this idealistic image that we probably have of ourselves. You know, whether you want to suppress it or ignore it, there's a part of us that knows that we want to then go up to that next level of us. But for whatever reason, we put it to the back burner. We push it aside because we've messed up before. We didn't quite get it right. And it's just not worth it. So I want to get into today. We're going to talk about the second pillar, which is love and relationships. So I know you guys are going to say, well, I don't need love. I don't need relationships. I have my money, I have my job. And I'm going to call bullshit. Okay? Because at the end of the day, we all fundamentally want to feel loved in some kind of way, however you see or express love. And so the reason why this is so important around love and relationships is to understand the two different kind of mindsets that might be playing out within you. Because part of you may be, Mike, what's going on, buddy? How you doing? Good to have you here. Welcome back. Thank you for checking in. Because the two philosophies is some are open to say, yes, I want to be in a relationship, a loving relationship. I want to grow. I want to expand. I want to feel the romance. And then some of you are like, I don't have time for it. Like, I have my business to create. I am on a mission. I have my purpose, and it's not my thing. And that's okay. I would encourage you to actually explore that a little more, a little bit deeper to understand, is that really true? So just to give you a bit of an overview of what it means to have an elite man mindset for yourself around love and relationships. There are three pieces that fall under this pillar. The first one is going to be the intimacy and the romance. The second one is going to be fathering and parenting. And the third one is going to be your social life. All these fall under the love and relationships part of ourselves. Because again, at the end of the day, if we are not taking care of all those other aspects, we're going to have a hard time really trying to get that really greater sense of fulfilling of what it is that we're doing, whether it be in our work, professional life, whatever it may be. So to go into the romance and the intimacy side, okay, this is a part where a lot of us, I think we understand it fundamentally. We know what love and intimacy is. But I mean, do we really know what love, intimacy, and romance is? Because oftentimes we can subscribe to the idea that in these relationships, there's things we have to do, or we have this kind of, this not battle, but this kind of push and pull with man and woman, girlfriend and boyfriend, husband and wife. Men always do this. Women always do that. And we kind of start to separate ourselves from really what it is that we want from that relationship. So my question to you is, as it pertains to your intimacy and your romance, what would your work life look like? What would your professional life look like? How would that affect you if you're actually were in a satisfied, fulfilled relationship? Now, try for me if you can. If you're tempted to put in, but you don't know my wife, you don't know my girlfriend, I don't have time, it's stressful, so forth and so on, try to put that aside. The idea is we focus on what it is that we want from the relationship. This is independent of what she does for the most part, because there are exceptions, okay? But what can happen is it's so easy to get trapped in the idea that, well, if she's not going to do her part, or if she's doing that, then this is how I'm going to show up in this relationship in a romantic or intimate space. But really, is that how we want to show up? Is that really how you see yourself navigating that relationship? Do you think that your partner, your wife, is going to feel comfortable and safe and secure, and that you have things under control in that relationship if every time hits the fan, things go crazy, things get derailed, you also derail. You're no longer there supportive, right? And so just also think about, how this affects the other parts of your life if you're not satisfied. If you really don't feel this deep satisfaction with your partner, and you go to work, and are you really going to be excited to come home? Are you going to make the effort to maybe bring home a gift for no reason at all, without any kind of explanation, without any kind of reason? Just want to bring a gift home, right? Are you going to really feel connected in the desire to form healthy relationships outside of that relationship? Or are you going to seek refuge from the relationship, the intimate one, right? So the idea is that we have this vision of how it is that we want to show up, and then we stick to that, okay? I'm going to leave that there for right now. Now, the second part is to love and relationships. The second pillar of having the elite man mindset is fathering and parenting. Okay. Now, this is interesting because they go together even if you do not have biological, adopted, or otherwise children. You are still a father to somebody. Now, is your mind blown? Because when I first heard this, I didn't really understand it. It didn't really click. It didn't make sense because I was like, okay, I understand how biology works, but how can I be a father to someone else if I don't have kids of my own? I'm not raising anybody. I'm not responsible for anybody. But aren't you? When you live your life, when you show up on a path, on a mission, in your truth, with confidence, and you are clear on who it is that you want to be, regardless of what happens and what's thrown at you, people are watching you, especially other men and other little boys. And when they see a solid example of a man with an elite mindset for himself, how he engages his mother or his coworkers or his neighbor, even if that child is not yours, he is observing you and you are fathering him. You are setting an example for him. And that same example you are setting applies even to the grown-ass man, to the adult. You didn't think it could happen, did you? Neither did I. But think about this. When we watch something, whether it's sports, or it's a TV show, or even your boss, or whoever's around you, and you know when someone has a presence. You know when someone exemplifies a characteristic that you admire, how that makes you feel. You start to watch that person and say, okay, I want some of that. I want to know and learn how to be that person. That in itself is fathering because that person is setting the bar, a standard for you that you want to reach. Essentially is what happens with our kids. So whether you have kids or not, that's what it is. But now if you do have kids, what is your vision? What is that? What kind of father do you want to be to your kids? Do you want to be the one that just is available when it's convenient for you? What about if you're tired? And we talked about the first pillar is going to be the health and the wellness. What if you're not taking care of your health and your wellness? How active of a father can you be? Can you play with your kids without getting winded? Do you have the energy, the stamina to be with them? Do you have the patience? What about when they really need your attention? Can you give it and still perform at the job? If you're not going to be able to handle those challenges as they come up, as it pertains to being an actual father in charge, responsible for a human, whatever they are in their age in their life, whether they're a toddler or a teenager, that brings on every single time a different set of challenges for you of how you're going to show up, how you're going to still be able to live to be an example. And an easy way to understand what kind of father you want to be, if you haven't already decided this or if you don't have a clear vision already, is look back on your father or a father figure in your life, or maybe you didn't have one. But look at that as a reference and how that affected you. For me, when I reflect on my father did an amazing job. But I'll be honest with you, my perspective for most of my life, up until the past maybe 3 years, was a sense of lacking. That my father could have and even should have done more. That's from my perspective, right? It was only till after, doing a lot of deep diving and self-work, understanding that my father did the best damn job he could. My father was responsible for 6 kids, 6 mouths, The same age that I am right now, 37, my father had, actually at that time, he had 9 kids, responsible directly for 6 kids. Trying to advance his career, or advancing his career in the military. Tending to his wife, tending to 6 little people who have their own ideas, and trying to find time for himself. So when I was being critical of my father and the type of job he was doing, that he could have done more, I didn't get it. And I still won't, because actually it won't be my goal to have 6 kids. But if I can understand the challenges I have as a single man in my 30s without kids and wanting to advance my career and understand those pressures, then surely I can cut my father some slack, right? And so this is where we want to get into that mindset again as it pertains to fathering and being a parent. Whether you have your own kids or not, you are a father to someone. Someone is watching you. Someone is observing you. And just by you showing up as you, as being authentic, as not holding back, that is being a parent to every single person. It is your responsibility. Jason, how are you doing? And Aaron, well, actually, Aaron, I was going to say Jacksonville representative, but I think, Aaron, you moved over to Mississippi, if I'm not mistaken. And the last piece, that's the third piece to the second pillar of love and relationships, is going to be the social relationships, our social construct. Who are our friends? Who are we hanging out with? What are our hobbies? How do we keep ourselves grounded? How do we keep ourselves connected? And this is a part that really, it's funny because I had a conversation with a buddy about 2 weeks ago, and he said, so what's your relationship like? What are your connections like in Gran Canaria? And I said, yeah, pretty much non-existent. And it's the truth. And it's the truth because for a variety of reasons, when I first moved here, when I first started working here, I put all my time and energy into work. I was dating, a few girls, so I didn't really make time to establish, deep friendships with other guys. Then after I left that company, I opened my own business. I went into entrepreneurial mode and I just kept my head down for about 3 years and I didn't make time for social life. I didn't feel like I had the energy for it. And then all that carried over to now where I have the opportunity to do it, where I'm now finding myself wanting to cultivate that. And it's so important to cultivate that because one, we are a collection of the people around us. The people around us are going to make or break us. This is also why I always say, choose wisely who is in your circle, right? But also two, if you are in a relationship and you're only around your partner, I'm going to imagine that the dynamic of your relationship probably isn't that dynamic at all. It's probably pretty flat. That doesn't mean that's going to be the case for every single person, but if your best friend, your main go-to person is your wife or your girlfriend, your relationship is probably here. Why? Because that's the only life you foster. This is what me and my wife have done. And this is actually what we're actively working to get out of. I'm actually now, as a grown man, making an active effort to go find friends and make friends here live. I have a lot of connections online, but actually here on the earth. It is a challenge. It's different. But that also opens up possibilities. That gives me an opportunity to use my energy differently. That gives me an opportunity to maybe vent if I'm frustrated, as opposed to bringing that and bringing it back to my wife. Or if you have kids, bring it onto your kids. So the social life aspect is going to be something that's going to allow you and allow us to really expand our possibilities and options as it pertains to being a person, because that person can also push you to be a better person if you choose your circle carefully. So the elite man mindset in that is understand the value of having a solid, tight social life. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have a whole bunch of friends, but maybe you explore hobbies. Maybe you go join, actually what I'm going to do now as we get out of quarantine is actually look for a bicycle club, right? Never thought of doing it before, looking into martial arts. Why? Because in these environments, I can start to foster these relationships here on the island and create this different kind of energy, different kind of outlets. So having said that, guys, I just want to do a quick little recap. So as it pertains to the second pillar and the elite man mindset around relationships and love, we have the first one is going to be your intimacy and your romance. How are you showing up in those relationships? The second one is going to be fathering and parenting. What kind of example are you setting for your kids or those around you, whether they are children or adults? Yes, you are still a father to other grown-ass men who are watching you, okay? And the third and last, and also very important, is your social relationships. Who is your circle? How are you showing up? Are you being very selective who you are around, right? Because elite men don't just keep hanging around other men who aren't doing anything with themselves. And that doesn't mean that we're judging. It's just saying that if these men aren't supporting where you want to go, they don't need to be in your life. Just not right now. And that's okay. And so just something to reflect upon is when we look at all the aspects, the 360 of you, because it's what it's about. It's not just about work. It's not about saying I've climbed the ranks. It's not about saying I've, created the business and things are going well just in the business side. What about everything else? Because everything else is what really makes us feel fulfilled and truly satisfied. And as if we're doing something meaningful. It supports your mission and your purpose. Because let's be honest here, we have a whole crap load of people who are rich and have built successful businesses. And we also have a whole crap load of people who are rich with successful businesses who are miserable. are finding themselves not getting tapped into something deeper than that. So on that note, fellas, just take a look at how this could potentially affect you from the professional side, from the health side, and from your purpose and your mission. And on that note, if anyone out there, again, if you're watching this in the replay, reach out. This is actually where I find my passion, is supporting entrepreneurial, professional men who are on their path as well, who want to get some more of that satisfaction into their personal lives. So if that is you, reach out, send me a message, let's get on a call and see how I can work together. But beyond that, look out for the pillar 3 and the pillar 4. We talk more about the other complete aspect of having that elite man mindset. So fellas, let's get it.